Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. Hope you are all well. Firstly, just starting off with some quick introductions. So my name is Charlie Hill. I'm Head of Sales here at QDC. My main responsibility is all around client engagement, so engaging with organisations to understand any challenges and pain points they may be facing regarding PPM and in particular tooling, and hopefully looking to resolve that utilising the Microsoft 365 technology stack. Ollie?
Yeah, afternoon, everyone. So my name's Ollie Armstrong, sit within the delivery side of things here at QDC. So that kind of includes working with customers to understand current states, how they're doing things at the moment, future states, requirements workshops, and then off the back of that, actually doing kind of deployments and configurations of these Microsoft PPM systems, similar to the one that we'll look at today. My background, fortunate enough / unfortunate enough, depending on how you look at it, to have spent the last 15 or 16 years solely focused on kind of Microsoft project, Microsoft PPM solutions. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you. So just to provide a little bit of context then around the webinar today, as you would have probably all seen, today is part one of our webinar series covering the recent announcement of Microsoft Project Online going into retirement next year. With part one, so today's session, we will be focusing specifically on the scheduling engine and what the difference is between Microsoft Projects Online and Microsoft's latest scheduling engine, which is Planner, and in particular Planner Premium Schedules. If you do have any questions throughout, appreciate it's a fairly short session, but feel free to put them into the chats. The Q&A functionality is also enabled, and we'll hopefully have some time towards the end to answer those. Wonderful. Very quickly, just around who we are and what we do as a business here at QDC. We are one of the UK's leading Microsoft partners specialising exclusively in the project and portfolio management space. We are very fortunate with the amazing team we have here at QDC, who have all pretty much spent their entire careers working with Microsoft PPM tools across the various iterations. So rest assured, there is little we haven't seen. We do also hold very strong relationships with the Microsoft's internal teams, so we can keep you up to date on all of the new and exciting things coming out from them. Now, where we come in as that strategic Microsoft partner is primarily through the implementation of Microsoft's latest PPM technologies, most notably Planner and the Power Platform. There is a whole raft of benefits that comes with this new approach. So if you are on Projects Online or some form of other third-party application, hopefully some of what we'll show you here today will resonate and there might be a potential migration across. Wonderful. So as I said, and as many of us will know on this call today, Microsoft Projects Online has now been announced to go into retirement on the 30th of September in 2026, so less than a year away. Now, many organisations that are using Projects Online have started to ask the question, why? To give a short answer, essentially the technology that sits behind Projects Online is now classified as legacy architecture, and Microsoft is very much pushing, when it comes to PPM, this new modern intuitive approach. This is where things like Microsoft Planner and the Power Platform, which I'll touch on in a moment, come into play. But additionally, and I'm sure all of you have heard or seen it / used it, Microsoft Copilot AI is now being introduced into this new way of working and managing projects. So it's moving away from Projects Online and towards a new world with Microsoft PPM. And looking at how we've got to where we are today, so I'm sure many of you are using Projects Online, Microsoft Projects, but the new world from Microsoft essentially includes two key technologies. Firstly, Microsoft Planner, which is, as I said, the new scheduling engine, providing that more modern UI intuitive approach for the scheduling, including Kanban boards, Gantt charts, interactive Gantt charts, shall I say, and many, many other things. You may have seen that Planner doesn't necessarily out of the box match anywhere near the capabilities of Microsoft Project Online. So things like risks, issues, your broader resource management, financial management. Do not worry, that is then where the Power Platform comes in to fill those gaps. And the Power Platform is very powerful, pardon the pun, to the fact that it's known as a low-code, no-code technology, meaning we can customize and configure the solution to your exact requirements. And what we'll show you today, and I'll pass over to Ollie in a moment, is essentially a Power Platform solution that we've configured that looks to replicate the functionality provided within Projects Online, but not only replicate, we are looking to also enhance those functionalities as well. Wonderful. So that's hopefully a good bit of insight around where we are very quickly, I know, but we will swiftly move into the demonstration and I will hand over to Ollie.
Brilliant. Thank you, Charlie. I will just start sharing my screen. Hopefully that's coming through to you all now. Perfect. So, yeah, just kind of reiterating some of what Charlie said there. I know there's a lot of things that people can read out there on LinkedIn and other areas where, you know, people are kind of comparing Project Online, especially considering the retirement announcement. They're comparing Project Online to Planner and Planner Premium, and it's kind of a different scenario. I'd refer to Planner Premium as kind of the Microsoft project, so that scheduling engine, and that is what we're going to focus on today, obviously with Project Online alongside it, and as Charlie said, the Power Platform. So just to start with, I've kind of got, as you can see here, hopefully a screen that looks familiar to everybody. So this is Project Online. Okay, it's not a very complexly configured environment. It's fairly out of the box with just a couple of projects and things within it. So obviously starting from the home page, I've got these tiles on the left hand side. I can click to go through to my project, and here's that list of projects. And I won't spend too long going on this before we get into the schedule and kind of show you what we've got in the new world. But yeah, within here, this is referred to a lot of the time as the project center, where I can then from here drill down into one of my projects, and that will take me to what are referred to as project detail pages. Okay, so just for that terminology, on the left-hand side, we have a schedule project detail page, we have a project information PDP, and a project details PDP as well. Now, another thing within Project Online that you are able to do is have multiple different, what are referred to as enterprise project types. Now, an easy example of this is you may have a small project type, a medium type of project, and a large one. A small project may just have a schedule and minimal information, such as potentially just a project name, a description, a start date, and a finish date, something like this. Whereas when you then say, okay, I'm going to create a large project, you may want a bit more information and therefore choose to include additional project detail pages. And that's the type of stuff that we will go through, and we will show you kind of how that relates to the new system as well. And I can come in here, I can enter background info, benefits, kind of rags and things like that as well. But as we mentioned, focusing specifically on the schedule today. Okay, now, obviously, with the schedule, the key selling point for a lot of organizations using Project Online was the integration with Microsoft Project, now that being Project Desktop. Okay, so along the top here, you can see that I can just edit the project in the browser. That will allow me to update this tasks grid, or I can actually come in and edit it within Microsoft Project, and clicking on that should open up a little pop-up to say, are you sure you trust this? I can hit yes. And then that will essentially pull up Microsoft Project integrated to that Project Online environment. Okay, so this is essentially what we're going to be kind of looking at replacing within this webinar, and kind of trying to map some of the functionalities and features of Microsoft Project with that new world when it eventually obviously connects and decides to open my tasks. Okay, cool. So there we go, Microsoft Project, as we hopefully all are familiar with. Okay, so that's Project Online. We'll leave it there. Obviously, there's this check-in, check-out functionality, which we don't need to kind of worry about just now, but we'll come on to that. So this is kind of what we're looking to replace the project information a little bit, but also primarily focusing on that schedule. So if I just very quickly jump to this other tab here, now this is actually looking at the new world. So kind of taking the same starting point, this is the home page. Okay, this home page can be completely configured in any way you wish, essentially built from the ground up. You can see on here again, as Charlie mentioned, we try to mirror and keep that kind of consistent and easy to use functionality that people are used to with Project Online. Where we have the tiles, we do have some notifications and announcements and things that administrators can choose to kind of add in there. And I can, as an end user, also update my tiles if I wish. But what we're focusing on is obviously in this, the projects. So I'm just going to click projects here, and here's my list of projects where I can still filter, I can still group by whatever I want to. I can save my own views, choose what columns I'm looking at, all as an end user. And again, we'll maybe look at a bit more of this in one of the later webinars within the session or the series this week. But for today, what I'm going to do is just click to drill down into my Cloud AI deployment project. And along here, we have these various different tabs. Now, these tabs are essentially akin to what we saw with the project detail pages within Project Online. Okay, we have the ability to configure the tabs that we've got. We can change the layout. You can see here, this is kind of one section with two columns, business case in scope. Whereas on my details pane, we have two columns within the tab, and this section here also has two columns, and it takes up 70% of the screen. So we can go down quite granular with all of this. But what you'll notice, and we'll go through some of these other logs again in the later sessions, specifically kind of focusing on control logs and things like that on Wednesday, if any of you have signed up to that one as well. But obviously what we're here for today is this plan tab. Now, within here, obviously, I've got a couple of tasks set up, and I also have just a couple of key things that I wanted to kind of run through. Things like baselines, critical paths, swapping resources out, updating task progress, and kind of looking at dependencies as well. So I just wanted to talk about some of those, run through some examples, and show you that you know, these sorts of things are possible with the new planner. And then also, if you're sticking around till the very end, I might also potentially show a sneak peek of Microsoft Project integrating with all of this stuff as well, and show you what that can actually look like. Because again, a lot of the time, people think it's not possible. Without trying to sound too corny, just about everything is possible. But yeah, we'll take a look at that towards the end as well. Okay, cool. So focusing on this new scheduling engine, Planner Premium in this case. First thing, just before we kind of go into some of those key bits that I mentioned, such as baselines, etc., the scheduling side itself, you can see here that it is embedded within my Plan tab. If I wanted to, I could open it directly within Planner as well. That means that it's available in Teams. It's available for me to embed in specific kind of channels within a team as well. Okay, so various different ways of actually accessing the schedule. I can collapse that left-hand menu, give me a bit more space on the screen. But first things first, see, we're starting on this grid view. Now, here's all of my tasks. At this point, within Project Online, you would need to check your project out. And that's something which obviously at that point limits the amount of people and you know, users that can actually come into the schedule and edit it. That isn't something that we need to do within Planner Premium, and it does actually support co-authoring. So if you have multiple different project managers doing it at the same time and working on a plan, that's not a problem. I do have a colleague of mine who I'm going to nod at now to say, can you start going in and just adding random things, which he's going to do. So you should start to see, as we're looking at the screen, new things appearing, even though I've opened it up and I'm here editing. So yeah, Malvin's going through and doing that now, as we can see here. So whilst he's doing that, I can still come in, I can hit insert on my keyboard to add a new task, okay. All the keyboard shortcuts work. I can select these two tasks and press Control F2 to link them together. You can see here the dependency, so it depends on this task 10 has automatically populated. It's set the start and finish date. I can also right click and promote it or remove the dependency if I want. So if you're not familiar with the keyboard shortcuts, you can still do basically everything you need to just by right clicking on it as well. Okay, hovering over one of these will show you what the shortcut is if you need it. Okay, any of these tasks also, what I can do is, and I'll just do this one here, I can hover over it and click this little I or press Alt-I to get the shortcut, and that will open up on the right-hand side this kind of little pop-out window. I can expand it so it opens in the middle of the screen, and this is essentially all of the information relating to that task, just in a little pop-up window. From here, I can rename it, I can set the start and finish date, change the duration, all of those sorts of things. I can add a checklist. So do X, do Y, do Z, and that checklist can essentially just be my way of tracking the progress against that task, or somebody who's actually doing the activity or doing the task to just track what they're doing. If I need to at any point, I can make this a new task, which will just promote it up to actually be a task rather than just a checklist item. Okay. Whilst we're doing all of this, we can see that Malvin's still going ahead and updating everything that he has there. Okay. So yeah, we've got that little pop-up window on the right-hand side. Dependencies, this is a key part here. I'll just talk about this now. Again, a lot of people kind of assume with Planner that you've kind of got your standard finish to start dependencies when you link a task together. We do have the ability for finish to finish, start to start, start to finish, with lead and lag as we need as well. Okay. So I can see that this task here depends on task 10. That's the predecessor. Slight terminology change there, predecessors and successors. But with this, I could make it lag by 5 days. And as I do that, you can see all of the dates and everything are updating as soon as I make that change. Okay. So that's something that we got on there, as well as a kind of changes section, which kind of shows every single change that has ever happened to this task. You can see here, I created it several hours ago, updated the start dates, linked it, did everything along the way. Okay, so we get that kind of history of the task as well that we can capture. Okay, another thing that we can also look at on the grid view, and I'll just quickly show this, is baselines. So if I just come into here, I have set a baseline. It's ahead of schedule. That's good. There's 5 overdue tasks. I can click on that and you see it's automatically just kind of come in and filtered those. If I compare it, you can see I've now got my start date next to my baseline start, my finish and my baseline finish, and also my finish variance. Okay. Again, with all of these, you can just drag and drop the columns around as you need to. If I was to come in and say this task is now 5 days long, okay, that will mean that all of these other linked tasks get pushed out. Okay, so you can update it and see that change and effect to the baseline as you're going through. Okay, choose to hide it, and again, filters, choose to show things which are late. We can do that. Happening today, due tomorrow, due to finish this week. So very easy to filter whatever we need to within here as well. Okay, conditional coloring, again, we can kind of come in and choose to color code anything that we have. You can see here I've chosen to kind of got this bucket column with conditional coloring or conditional formatting to kind of just change the color based on that as well. Okay, and we'll come on to what buckets are in a moment. But essentially, grid view, everything that you would expect to kind of see, we can kind of have it in here. You can create new fields if you need to, so things like yes, no columns, text, date, number, choices. These are custom columns. Slight limitation on reporting there, but we can generally get a way around that, and I'll come on to some of those different kind of scenarios a bit later as well. Okay, cool. So that's the grid view. Along the top, I'll just skip the board view and I'll come back to that in a moment, but obviously just want to take a look at the timeline view. So we can see here, this is essentially our Gantt chart. Okay, I can zoom out of this as I wish. You can export this as well, so I can export it to a PDF to get a kind of a picture view of the timeline if needed. I can zoom in, zoom out, and this is what Charlie referred to as kind of an interactive timeline, meaning that I can drag that task to be shorter. Everything afterwards has obviously changed as well. If one of these tasks was kind of 50% complete or completed, it would then kind of stop at that point, as you would expect. But all of that sort of stuff we can kind of play around in here. I can also get up this section on the right hand side, which is quite nice to be able to see. Okay, this actually is 15 days. Let's say that needs to be 10 days. I can update it as I need to here. Okay, so we can do all of that. Critical path. So, you know, again, I can view the critical path. You can see that this task here is not on the critical path because following Microsoft's kind of critical path definition, it doesn't impact the end date if I was to change it, or the end date of the project. What I can do is come in and say, okay, that's now 200 days long, at which point everything after it is no longer on the critical path, okay, because that essentially goes right up to the end and is linked to that task there. Control Z, just undo that, okay. So timeline view is available, and that's essentially a Gantt chart. Board view, so board view here, again, it's kind of that more Kanban style scheduling, whereby I've got these different buckets. The buckets are available to me as a project manager to kind of come in and create as I need to. Again, I can color code them to my heart's desire. I can come in, drag things along all of these different buckets to essentially say, okay, you know, depending on what type of project we're doing, let's say it's a development project, that's in development. Okay, that's now ready for test. Okay, it's being tested, it's now ready for production, or it's failed, and put it back into development with notes on here: test failed because XYZ. Okay, that's obviously one scenario of kind of how you can use it, but the buckets are available for you to use in any way you wish. We can also view the board view by things like assign to. If I've got a task here and I say I want to assign that to Malvin or a generic resource such as a team, I can just drag and drop it, and you can see there it's actually assigned it to Malvin. If I drag it onto myself, it's now assigned to me. Okay, so various different things that we can actually do with the board view. Final one I'll just very quickly show you is sprints. So there is kind of, you know, proper sprints built in, whereby we have a backlog. It's very similar to the board view, but it just allows you to kind of, you know, report on how much stuff has been hit within each sprint and all of that sort of stuff, if you are looking to plan in that agile way or run your project in that agile way. Okay. Cool, so that's board view. Charts, some out-of-the-box charts, generally similar to Project Online. We'll just use Power BI for any reporting that we need to, and all of the information within here is kind of reportable. We have a people view, whereby, again, very similar to the board view, but just actually splitting it out and more of a focus on individuals or teams and generic resources that are actually assigned these tasks. So I can see myself, I have 3 late tasks. It's not very good, but we'll sort that out in a minute. And then also we have goals, which allow me to kind of put and link tasks to specific project goals that we're trying to achieve. And then also assignments. Now the assignments tab is here to allow you to essentially go down into the detail. Project, Microsoft Project, so the desktop client, allows you to bring up various different views, so the task usage and the resource usage views. And they will, for example, allow you to basically come in and say, okay, the task starts on Monday, there's no hours on Tuesday, 4 hours on Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday. Okay, this is what this kind of view allows me to do. So I can see a task here, which I want to update: 8 hours on Monday, 0 hours on Tuesday, 4 hours on Wednesday. And we can see that reflected in the total effort, but also within things like my timesheets and all of that other stuff, any kind of reporting and resource assignments and heat maps that we have off the back as well. Okay, so it does allow you to go down to that granular level of kind of planning and scheduling, okay, within this assignments view. So that's kind of what's there out of the box. Now, I think we've covered baselines, I've covered critical path, I've covered the assignments view, and I've covered also dependencies within your project. So a few more things I just wanted to quickly touch on. There's some buttons within Microsoft Project along the top that people often use. A few of them are things like swapping resources. So let's say here, for example, I'm assigned to these tasks. I want to take myself off of any tasks I'm assigned to and put them onto someone else. So how do we do that? Well, there's no functionality provided by Microsoft to allow me to do that. But what we do have the ability to do, and this is where the Power Platform kind of lends itself to customization and the ability to create all of this stuff. We've got some advanced actions here. And you can see baseline. Some of you may have been wondering, okay, well, there's only one baseline shown. We can have 6 baselines or 10 or 20, however many you want. Okay. Swap resources, as I was just saying, I can come in. Okay, there's 2 currently assigned resources. I want to swap myself with David Jones, hit swap resource. That'll go away, do its thing, and essentially update anything that I'm assigned to David Jones. Okay, there we go. That's done it there. All right, I'll just Control Z that in a minute to undo that, but that's fine as it is. So we do have the ability to build in these kind of additional actions, whether it be swapping resources, updating task progress. So I could, for example, come in and assign myself to that. Let's say that everything up to today has been done. To save me having to go through and tick each one and set the percent complete to 100, just do it automatically. I know it's all been done. That's going to go away. Different kind of style here, just to demonstrate the different options. It's come up with a little notification at the top. It's gone away, done its thing. These are all now 100%. There should be no late tasks in my plan anymore. Okay, so things like that, again, we can kind of just build in very easily and are available out of the box for our default offering. Things like recurring tasks as well, absolutely something which we can do. Okay, so that just covers some of those more kind of, I guess, advanced capabilities that people might be interested in. And then the final one that I wanted to talk about was cross-project dependencies. Okay, now, again, not something that Microsoft provide out of the box with Planner Premium. Not to say that it will never come. It's just not something which is there at the moment. Now, what we have along the top is this dependencies tab. And you can see here, I've got 3 different dependencies, 2 give and 1 get. Again, terminology, we can change it to whatever we need to. Push, pull, give, get, send, receive, however we want to word it, we can update it. The way this works, it's linked to a task within my project and then a task within a different project. Anytime any of the dates update, that will change. The date difference will change and we'll get green, amber or red. Amber being 0 days, it's on the same day. If it slips by 1 day, it's going to cause an issue. Red, obviously, there's 7 days late. So we're delivering it on the 20th when it's needed on the 13th. Same thing down the bottom for get. And we'll see this in any project that is kind of, linked. So if I was to create a new dependency to another project, that project manager would, 1, get notified via a Teams notification and also be able to go into their project within the system off of a link from that Teams message and see that in the other area. I.e., if I created a give dependency, they'll see it in get and vice versa. Okay, so hopefully that kind of covers some of the bits that people generally kind of consider out of the realms of possibility for Planner Premium, but just to kind of show you that it is still possible with Planner Premium. I did mention that MSP integration is something that we can do. We tend to advise against it just because obviously whilst Microsoft Project hasn't been announced as end of life or retiring, it's just Project Online. So they have stated that Microsoft Project is remaining as a desktop client. We never know kind of what's happening in the future. So I have here a different environment, which, as you can see, look and feel very similar, just to keep the consistency. I can come into projects here, and if I click on this project, Cloud AI Deployment, you'll see this time that the schedule much more similar to Project Online. Okay, we actually have the project plan, so an MPP file, so Microsoft Project Plan embedded in here. I can edit it if I want to, so I could set this to 100% and that'll go away and update that. And additionally, if I click Open in Project along the top, you can see we've still got the timeline and all of the options available with that. I can remove things, I can add things to the timeline, do whatever I want to here. Milestone 1 there. I can actually click Open in Project and that will still do exactly the same thing and launch Microsoft Project Desktop integrated directly into Power Platform. Cool. Appreciate it's going to take a while to load again because of my not very quick laptop, shall we say, but that's loading up. So yeah, that's everything from me. I'll keep sharing for a moment and that will pop up in a second, unless the demo people are not very happy with me. Let's do it again. Project couldn't start last time. Yeah, start in safe mode. There we go. Cool. So that's opened it up. That task I just set to 100% is now completed as well. Okay. Cool. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ollie. So yes, hopefully that was useful. I appreciate it's a very quick run through, but we wanted to have this session to prove, particularly around the scheduling, that it is possible with this new approach of utilising Microsoft Planner, but also, and importantly, the Microsoft Power Platform. And that Power Platform element is what is filling the gaps to what you don't get out of the box with Microsoft Planner. Wonderful. So that takes us exactly to past. I appreciate quite a lot of you are already registered to part 2 of this series on Wednesday. If you're not, please let me know in the chat and I can get that sent across to you as soon as possible. That session we'll be looking at the wider PPM tool or utilizing the Power Platform and Planner. So looking at things like risks, issues, control logs in general, resource management, financial management, and all that good stuff. So make sure you're there if you like what you saw today. And then also part 3 is on Friday, where we will be looking at a migration from Project Align to this new approach with Planner and the Power Platform. But brilliant. Thank you all. Hopefully that was useful, and we shall catch up with some of you soon. Cheers.